But the bans on the Bristleback, the Timbersaw, the Mars all feel pretty on the point or on the nose, as you already have your Centaur, you already have your offlaner. So get Tingle King off of his comfort, and we see Tingle King, one of those players that does feel a lot less impactful when he does get forced onto those sort of B tier heroes. But they're not going to let us know what that hero is. If the cut are doing what I think they're doing, they're going to pick up Scourge's hero most likely here, and then they're going to keep everything blind. But they don't do that. Instead, they're going to slot in the Darkseer, which does make that Leshrac sort of forced into that mid roll. So they're instead going for just an all-around lineup. They just don't want to be forced out of their lanes, and Lesh does draw pretty much 90% of those mid lane matchups.
Yeah, they're at least going to have that to fall back on, and now the Darkseer going to be able to maybe get something done in the lanes, especially if he does lane up with that Clockwork, get in for the Battery Assault, into the Cog Trap, and then, well, if you're 2-base, you may have difficulty sort of getting yourself out of that situation, but we'll have to wait and see. They got the Tusk with the third pick, so some defensive power there with the Snowball to maybe bail out of that exact sort of initiation, and aggressive potential as well with that Tusk, just sort of pushing into the lane and making rotations himself. Meanwhile, the Wraith King going to be coming out here looking like that hero for Boris, so if you're the cut, this is always sort of the issue going against that Wraith King. You hit him up with a bunch of your spells, you try to take him down. How much do you leave in the tank for the second life on that reincarnation? It's always something that sounds sort of simple in theory, but we've seen a lot of teams sort of struggle with that balance in the past, and if the Wraith King comes back up with that second life and you can't actually lock him down, he is going to punish you pretty severely.
Yeah, and now if I'm two-based, I would really like to see the Naga banned out. Kind of sick of that hero for the day. But also, while we have seen the Wraith King played in that matchup versus the Naga Siren, where there is a very good chance where you get that BKB, you're able to stick Honor, you do so much physical damage that it doesn't really matter what item build that Naga does go for. You are pretty equipped to kite that Wraith King, and Wraith King does not deal with the illusions too well. So I think that would be one of the sort of chances. Also, taking a back look at that for Zoomers game, I'm getting sort of flashbacks to that split earth setup coming in from that Song of the Siren, where the cut don't really have that hero yet. So if they pick up the Naga, it also just feels like a Scourge hero. That'd be the sort of dead ringer for me. And they're going to ban the PL instead. Makes sense. They're strategically very similar heroes, so we might be seeing another Naga come out from the cut. And that really has been a hero that got no play. We only really saw two players pick it up. We saw Angel play it that one time on Infamous, and I believe we also saw Parker reach into it before. And the only other player that played it besides that was Scourge. And then all these teams, all of a sudden, they love Naga. They love picking it up, and it's so annoying. That hero, I hate it so much.
Yeah, and I don't know. For the cut, they could take it, but we were sort of talking earlier about the fact that they were going to be looking to maybe sort of speed up the tempo after that last match went for so long. So if they're the team now that takes the Naga Siren, then it's not a hero that builds up quickly. So they're going to have to be ready for that. They're going to have to know that this game is going to be going for a pretty extended amount of time if they want to be successful. So at the end of the day, we said maybe they won't want to play that quickly, but if it gets them the win, I don't really think that their personal preference on the matter is going to factor in too much. They'll take the best sort of, best hero for the scenario at hand. But personally, after seeing that Naga Siren multiple times today, I would like for them to go in a different direction. It's always nice to see things sort of get mixed up a little bit. As two-based, coming in with the Puck selection to round out their lineup. So I Annihilate on the Puck, going to be presumably a relatively active hero in that middle lane. So that should be something to watch out for if you're the cut. That Puck is going to be looking to make those rotations into the side lanes, and you will need to be prepared to defend yourself against the Dream Coil once an Annihilate hits that early 6.
Yeah, and thinking of heroes now that Scourge could play, one of them that feels not the best, not the worst, could be that Juggernaut. We see a lot of teams ban it out when we do see the Centaur picked up just this early. You can't really pick the Morphling anymore, can't really pick the Weaver. Trying to think of other heroes, nothing really comes to mind that's a dead ringer. We could try and see the Anti-Mage forced. Anti-Mage is pretty good versus that Tusk. You never really have that guaranteed disable. And really, I'm just kind of scratching my head wondering what does Scourge want to play after that Bristleback game. Because really, if I'm Scourge, I kind of don't want to play anything. Probably not going to see the Drow Ranger. Can't really see the Troll. It just feels like what TOOBASED have sort of gotten the board. Okay, the TA, and they're going to switch that Leshrac over to the safe lane. And we saw four Zoomers do this pretty much exactly the same way, where they counter out this mid puck by picking up the TA. I think the puck sort of worked the TA a little bit. There was a little bit of a skill discrepancy there. But you get this TA again, Red 2, thirsty for another game, is going to have an even better lane than the previous time. So hopefully, I guess they're kind of running it back here. They have a bunch of similar heroes. Hopefully the play is going to be there to back it up, because TOOBASED, they've got a very scary team fight based lineup. The 4-man of TOOBASED, while Boris is just going to be sitting around farming, if they get off to a good start, get a few levels on those subs, they're going to be rotating on you pretty much always.
Yeah, it feels like TOOBASED have something that can build up momentum, pick up speed a little bit faster than what we're going to see on the other side. So the cut, we'll have to be careful with that, especially if these heroes really do get pressured up. TA and Lesh are going to kind of struggle to a certain extent. They're not going to be shut out completely, but you don't really want to be playing from too far behind with this duo in particular. So the cut will have to be very much aware of the fact that simply TOOBASED, I mean, guaranteed to be coming at them early, right? If they just sit back and play passively, I'm not sure what they drafted this particular lineup for. So it's going to be coming their way. The question will be whether or not they're prepared for it as we get ourselves into game one. Final series of the day, final series of the group stage. We have almost no stakes here other than personal pride, and to be honest, that actually kind of feels a little bit refreshing. These two teams are freed up to really just go at it. They don't have to worry about seeding, about upper, lower, any of that stuff, really. It's all been sort of predetermined, so they can just go at this for the sake of, I am going to prove that I am better than the guy across from me. So at the end of the day, that's kind of how Dota really just works anyway. So it's always nice to get back to the pure, raw basics of it. It's all about being better than who you're playing against.
Yeah, and I definitely think two-based could work that look. That's definitely a two-based look, especially because they really have sort of struggled in this tournament. It's not the same two-base that we saw in the DPC season. They are having a little bit of a rough go about. So we'll have to see. Standout player on two-base for me has always been Flea. Flea, mechanically, always one of the best in the region, always able to make those crazy plays, get something going for them. And of course, it's a two-base game. We're going to hear the voice lines. The cut, Scourge is trying to hit it back, but Monkey's Laugh is just too strong, and the justice for Little Nick, some say Little Kick, but no, that's not what happened at all. Or is it? So many questions. But they're actually not getting any of these runes. Pingu, they hiding the fact here? Yeah, they're hiding. No, is it just a normal setup? I wonder why they forfeited. Guess they're just gonna leave this one possibly for Red 2 to bottle up because nobody knows about it.
Yeah, they contest almost no runes, and they're still going to get a 2-2 split. So at the end of the day, I guess really it didn't matter too much for either squad. They're just going to kind of let that one go. But you know, we'll see how this one plays out. Going to take a look at the sort of top lane setup here first. Tingle and Giant looking to push their way in. They will drop down that Ion Shell onto the Clockwork. Level 1 Battery Assault getting them in there, but the Cold Feet from Jubei is just going to immediately shut that down. Giant can still get a little bit of damage in here, but that's really not going to be too great for them. They really do kind of need that Cog Trap. Once they have that, maybe they can find a little bit more in the way of aggression. Right now, it's just going to be Giant shoving himself face first into this duo in the hopes of something happening.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Boris was able to get that range creep denied, so the XP is going to come just that little bit slower. That's why sometimes we do see that Clockwork getting that level 1 Rocket Flare. It is only 80 damage, but you'd be able to secure these range creeps, and that's number 2, so sucks a little bit if you are this Darkseer, but yeah, once they get that Cogs, that's when Jubei needs to be incredibly cautious with his positioning. Otherwise, it's a pretty brain-dead punishment.
Well, we'll check back in once they actually get those levels. Meanwhile, down bot, Scourge and Pingu, they don't really have any follow-up lockdown. Pingu's just going to sort of push in with the shield, but we do see Scourge getting a point up in that Lightning Storm, so they've got the damage in the slow, and Monkeys. Oh, can they get one more? Scourge wants it. He's not going to get it. Monkeys was able to get into the tree, and I think that just barely disrupted that line of sight. So, the Monkeys Forever will live, but That is an interesting one. Scourge is just going to push forward when he has the mana between the stun and the slow. You got to be careful, as the Abaddon's just going to be able to almost guarantee the Curse of Avernus when Monkeys is that slow in the lane.
Yeah, and really a little bit closer than it should be. I think Monkeys maybe should have started with a stick, but he's just doing the brazier stuff that we see so many strength offlaners sort of commit to at this point. And this lane isn't the best for the Centaur. Scourge, it does do a lot of damage. You have to get up there and get those right clicks. And Pingu does need to be a little bit careful, but again, you have that Split Earth cover. And actually, level 2 on Flea.
They go in with the shards.
Ooh.
Pingu, one more hit for Monkeys will get it. And Scourge, unfortunately, wasn't able to get that final bit of damage in. Flea falls back, heals up with a salve, so simply two-based, able to find first blood. That was so risky, really, from both sides, but the two-based are able to pull it off.
Yeah, and a little bit more resources on the two-base side, meaning that now really nothing happens. Pingu will be able to TP back in, give Scourge another Null Talisman, has a salve and Tangos for himself, but yeah, it still, first blood for Monkeys feels pretty good. You just finished that stick, gonna set it on the courier, and now you're just gonna make heed towards that ring of health and gonna get a very early hood, I'm guessing, on his hero instead of that Vanguard.
Yeah, feels like going up against this lineup from the cut, he is going to need that sort of magic resistance, as Pingu gonna get trapped up in the shards again. Tag team deployed. Pingu's not in a great spot here, and he's not
nice
dead.
stun.
Good stun from Scourge. Bails his teammate out there, but Pingu's got to be careful. I mean, Scourge can save him that time, but I don't think you necessarily want to rely on the Leshrac to sort of literally pull you out of that situation moving forward. But, I don't know. It's not like the Lesh is going anywhere. He's just going to keep in the lane, and he should be able to sort of close the gap in most circumstances. A Tingle pushed in onto Boris. They were able to hit him up with the Ion Shell. The vacuum sort of forces him back in, and Giant does have to give his life, but you don't care. You got that kill. That's a big one onto the Wraith King.
Yeah, and Tingle unfortunately didn't keep the aggro there, but the wave is going to push into him now, dropping his boots for the Clockwork to go and give him a little drop off. But yeah, Boris just got cogsed up, took a little bit too much damage. You trade it out, but Tingle King's going to be pretty happy with that, as well as getting a bottle refill. So he is just going to come back and pop those shells on those creeps.
And Giant, the second he's back into the lane, pop the Ion Shell on him, he'll push forward, look to see if anybody's just sort of even that little bit out of position. Jubei now just has to sort of sit under his tower as Giant does go for the trap, Boris.
Oh, no.
Okay, wow, Giant, that's way more damage than I thought he was reasonably going to take, as he's just going to get pushed back. Tingle, though, he's able to sort of rotate over. He will sort of save his teammate there, and that will get Giant out of the fight. His salve up and should be just fine, but maybe a little too confident on that one. He pushes in, he gets the cog trap down onto Boris, but the damage he takes within seconds of trying to make that play is a little bit concerning. The clock is not that tanky right now.
Yeah, and it's just pushing forward. You always have to be a little bit careful, especially not having the boots or anything in the works of those tranquils. So Giant's really committed to this sort of, I'm going to lane for a while, I'm going to keep Tingle King a little bit up. So we're not going to see this Clockwork get nearly as active, not going to see him make any rotations mid as there's a puck.
Lee,
bottom.
He rotated his way mid, and the second that they spotted him out there, Pingu and Scourge realize this is a lone Centaur. He has no backup. They push in, they get the kill, the TP out, very nearly completed, but Scourge and Pingu get that little bit of extra damage that they need, and that one felt weird. Flea just sort of walked into the middle lane, kind of like he's doing now, but this time they do have more to work with. Dream Coil will be deployed. Can they get the Abba in time? No. Pingu unable to TP in to save his teammate. He is going to be able to turn that into a bit of a trade-off with Flea going down, but you lose Red 2 in that situation for just a support going the other way.
Yeah, and something that Scourge has actually done really well is he has 15 denies. Of course, they weren't really able to play on him too much, but he is honestly playing really well. He even gets the stack pull for himself, so Monkeys doesn't even have a creep wave or really anything to come back to. Scourge is kind of playing out of his mind right now, even though it's just the laning phase.
And meanwhile, up top, Giant, this may be a little bit too far forward. Boris is going to stun him up.
Yeah.
Flea TP'd in. Nice vacuum from Tingle, though, into the cogs. Giant,
nice
though, is still, targeted up by the snowball, so he should still be dying here, or maybe not.
Ooh,
he's
they body
sneaking
block
out.
each other.
Oh, God.
Okay. Easy.
Should not have been able to live there, but he will get out. Meanwhile, guess what? Flea rotates out. Monkeys is alone. Scourge and Pingu, they go in again. It's the same story we saw just about a minute ago from them. If the Centaur is alone, they're going to pursue that kill every time.
Yeah, and it felt like he was having a pretty good time there, but now doesn't have his boots, and now you really can't come back to this lane. You do have the TP, and you kind of have to, but you are level 6 on Scourge. You're going to be able to pressure so much more than you were, and this is 7 minutes into the game. We are not used to seeing this hero from the sideline getting this much XP this early on, and just continues to see us absolutely perfectly. And look at the stack. Here they
Oh,
come.
man. That's quite a bit of gold going over to Scourge. Nothing that the Centaur can do. I don't even think he realizes that that's happening, as they don't really have any vision of it. So Scourge cleans up pretty much all of that, and he continues to push forward here. Still the top net worth hero by a rather wide margin compared to anyone, at least on the 2-base side. But Simply 2-Based have multiple heroes hanging out in this middle lane. They're trying to at least apply some pressure to the Templar Assassin, but now Flea, he may have gone a bit too far. That snowball is not going to save him.
Yep, kind of sad.
Not
And that's
100%.
TA Town. Yeah, I don't know why he's there. He wants to make the play right. He wants to see if there are any stacks, if anybody is sort of playing for Red 2, but he's really just been playing for himself, and now he's amassed this, honestly, really, really big stack. He's got that max level in Refraction as well, so he'll probably decide to take it any second here. And yeah, I was going to say, he had the Deso queued up, but we like to see sort of the Dragon Lights come out first now. You just farm that a little bit faster, able to push these waves in a little bit safer. So honestly, just good stuff from Red 2.
Yeah, he's playing this pretty much exactly the way that he needs to. He's not going to get too greedy, and as you said, that Lance, it's a nice little sort of intermediate point before you go all in. As Scourge, speaking of all in, they're going to jump in onto him, but this is not going great. Here comes Annihilate, though. Will he commit the Dream Coil? Not yet, and he's starting to run out of time on this haste rune, so if they're going to do this, well, they needed to do it then, and they don't, so they will back away. The problem is, up in the top lane, they've lost the tier 1 tower, so they don't make this move, and they will lose an objective, but now Pingu is going to get jumped in on. He's going to be forced to pop that Aphotic Shield onto himself. Still not dead yet, though, as the snowball comes in. Dream Coil, though, will be committed into the Ice Blast, and I think they've got both of these.
Dead too. And Giant.
Okay. Cog Trap comes in, and they do get monkeys. Now Flea dead as well. Okay, Giant. Those are some rather big moves there. It's Tingle King who gets the kill with the Ion Shell, but that's two dead for 2-Base where they should have been able to get out. But now Tingle, he wants in. Boris gonna be able to get himself away. Tingle King doesn't quite have the damage for that one, but that fight got weird down in the bottom lane. 2 dead on the cut, but they were able to get 2 in exchange. It's still going to favor 2-Based, but not by nearly as much as it should have after those 2 heroes get kind of caught out on the back end by the clockwork.
Yeah, and all time that now Red 2 is going to be able to farm. Unfortunately, Scourge does not make the rotation towards that top lane, because really, there isn't a reason to. With that 5-minute cart, Tingle King was able to take the Wraith King's tower, and now with this hood, Monkeys Forever can sort of stand up versus that Iron Shell. It isn't too much of a problem, and that's when we'll see Boris maybe take some stacks, rotate over towards that triangle, and ooh, I Annihilate. Should be fine. Yep. Not enough lockdown for him.
Yeah, he's able to jump. So, ooh,
he tried. All right. Giant tried for the skill shot, but
you got to admire the man's ambition, but maybe not so much his aim, as he wasn't really able to make that one happen. But it's worth a shot. If you hit it, that's potentially a kill onto the puck, and that hook shot's never on a long cooldown, really. So,
and Red 2 popped the DD. They want to get in on this mid tower, and it is going to take a decent amount of damage. And without the Stampede, he is walking over on the Centaur Warrunner right now. Here we go. This is going to be a big fight. They have the AA Blast.
Pingu, targeted up by the Snowball, trapping him up inside of the shards. Meanwhile, Monkey's going to pop that Stampede. He loses quite a bit of his HP, though, before he can really get in, but the Ice Blast is still there into the Dream Coil, and that's big. Pingu and Giant both dead. The Templar Assassin forced to stand their ground, but here comes Tingle in with the back wall. Red 2's just going to line them up. That's just absolutely disgusting. 3 heroes dead. Jubei might just be falling here as well. Can they catch up? Yep, they can now. Trap comes in. Jubei is going to be taken down, and that...
ridiculous. What? That was so good. Was he level 10? Yeah, so he did have that Psyblade's range, which does make it a little bit easier, but poof. Looks pretty good from our eyes.
Yeah, Tingle... That's just massive. He sets that one up. Back wall onto... That was like, what, 4 heroes that he hits? And then at that point, yeah, you are hand-delivering kills to Red 2 at that point, as the TA just spills onto all of them. And what initially looked like it could have gone okay for 2-Based with that initiation, and a couple of kills going their way, turns into an absolute disaster. And now Boris, I don't know about this one. He's going to try to push forward, but his TP support was canceled, so he's now alone under the tower. He does have the ult, or... Oh, he's holding a
Boris.
point? No, he's not. Yeah, he is. I can't do math. He's holding a point. There we go. Reincarnation will be popped, but he's still trapped. He's going to get trapped up inside of the cogs, and he's just going to go down a second time. Giant doesn't even have to sacrifice himself for that. He lives, and Monkeys, okay, trying to get in with the stomp. They're going to look to track down Giant. They do have him hit up with a snowball, and that should be enough. And now they're going to get in with the Ice Blast into the coil. Okay, Red 2 taken down, Giant falling as well, but the rest of the cut, they're going to try and hold their ground here, and Scourge is able to get that final right-click in onto Flea. So they do find that kill, but at this point, it feels like this one really just needs to sort of break up as we see Scourge TPing himself away. The Abba, though, is still stuck here. Pingu, I don't think he gets out of this one, but he is doing some damage onto Annihilate, so the puck had to be a little careful on that positioning. However, they do still fight it. Pingu is taken down, and simply TOOBASED turned that fight in their favor. That was looking a little bit rough with Boris getting jumped in on, but second wind coming through for the team. They're able to bring the reinforcements in time, and they do swing that one in their favor.
Yeah, and it does feel a little bit throwy from the cut. You did sort of get kited away from that tier 2. The glyph was going, did a lot of damage while you were waiting for that Wraith King to respawn, and you do lose the TA, which does suck just a little bit. Lost his courier as well, so you are missing out on one of those hammers, but they're still going to continue to farm up. Not the biggest loss in the world.
Yeah, really just a minor setback, still up by 2k, so they're feeling pretty good. Red 2 even strategically taking these bounty runes just so he can sort of maintain the bottle charges. So really, anything he lost, he's probably already gotten it back in the last sort of minute or two. So it's not going to be too big of a deal, but if you're TOOBASED, I mean, they needed something. They do manage to find that. Now they're going to push their way into the bottom lane. Boris, thought for a moment he was actually going for the armlet, but it looks like he's kind of abandoned that. He's just going to go straight in for that Radiance. So no real sort of intermediate point like we were talking about with the TA and that Dragon Lance. He's just going straight in for that big item, and while he's farming, we do see the cut pushing their way into the Roche pit.
And again, it's not Tusk. Tusk is definitely a little bit faster, but having that Curse of Avernus on the Roche, it just goes so quickly. Not even doing the double meld, but it doesn't matter. And going to be the sort of after the fact here. Unfortunately, Pingu not going to heal up even though his ult was triggered, but you have the shield, you have the mist coil, no chance you're ever going to die there. And having the glyph forced out earlier top when they did make those sort of crazy heavy set plays, no glyph for another 2 minutes, easy tier 2 tower. And they could force them back here if they want to go high ground, because right now TOOBASED are kind of dragging their feet here. There is a Blink Dagger on the Centaur, however, so Monkeys will be able to look in that backline, maybe punish these heroes for sticking around a little too long.
Yeah, Courier bringing it out. Meanwhile, the Clockwork clicking his way in. Okay, but
he's got Stampede, but
okay, there we go. Scourge and Red 2 are making their way over now. So Monkeys is still going to be taking a pretty substantial amount of damage. Giant does fall, but if they can get something in exchange, this is still going to work out for them. They do get Jubei, but really they were hoping for the Centaur. But Monkeys is able to fall back. At this point, however, the cut, they've got a bit of a push ready for them. They could go mid. They've got the creep wave coming up, and Red 2 has the Deso, Scourge has the Edict in a few seconds, so they can just sort of burn their way through this as that tier 2 tower is going to rapidly fall.
And again, no glyph. So if they really wanted to, they could just go up high ground right now. Unfortunately, their creep wave did get hung up a little bit by the skeletons. And no, they're going to decide split the side lanes. We're going to have a little bit of a lead here. Don't want to throw it away too fast. Monkeys looking like he might decide to cut the creep wave. Gonna kill a courier in the meantime. Oh, yep. And actually, they see Flea for a second there. They're having a little bit trouble deciding which target to go on. And it looks like they're not going to get anyone, as a matter of fact.
Giant could still hook in, though. He's thinking about it. But at this point, if he hooks now, no one's really close enough to follow it up. So, just going to back himself away. He'll move into the east side jungle alongside Pingu and Red 2. And, well, they are taking control of this area. They're throwing down traps. They've got Knobs Ward set up. They don't deward this Observer, though, from the TOOBASED side. So they are entirely spotted out here and now. We do have some fights breaking out. Annihilate tried to jump in initially there onto the clock, but now it's Flea who's the one in some trouble as he is going to get trapped up on that sort of high ground area, and Red 2 will be able to bring him down. So slightly out of position for the Tusk. Annihilate decides he really doesn't want to get involved in that fight, and now we see the cut.
Oh,
looking to
Jubei?
push. Jubei, can he get away?
Yeah,
For
looks
now,
like
yes.
it. And
Oh.
still, there isn't a glyph, so if they wanted to, they could really just eat one Edict in here. Juby's trying to kill the creep wave. They've already cut the wave, but this is going to be a lot of damage on this tower. And you see Monkey's
it's
finally
dead.
here. Yeah, they have not respected the amount of damage coming through, and there's no way they stick around.
Oh,
This is
Red
nice.
2.
Going to get shielded up.
Yeah, the shield will sort of buy him some time.
Radiance
Boris,
is here,
though,
just got delivered.
He's got the Radiance, he's got the stun. Red 2 got to be a little bit careful. I Annihilate, meanwhile, I thought that was going to be the Dream Coil play. He goes for the Waning Rift onto a couple, though, but doesn't want to commit fully. So, no Dream Coil deployed means no fight for 2 base, but they do push the cut out of their base. The problem is, I mean, they lost the tier 3 there, and we're 17 minutes in. So, if you're the cut, you got an objective, and really you sacrificed nothing for it.
Yeah, they saw Scourge, though. They saw him TP out on the ward. They also saw him TP to that top wave. Let's see if his senses kick in here. He should know something's up in just a few moments and see how far he's going to run back. Well, this is going to be a little bit close here. Flea might be able to find him if he does walk up to that large camp.
They're going for the angle. Flea. He's in. He sees the Lesh. They've got the Dream Coil, and he's going to need backup. TPs are coming in. Can the Leshrac survive? He did pop that wand, but Ice Blast is still going to hit him up, but Pingu's going to save him with a shield. And I think Scourge will be okay. He'll TP back to the fountain. Meanwhile, Hookshot in from Giant, connecting onto Flea, and they will be able to lock him down. So Flea will fall, and as we check into the fountain, yeah, Scourge was able to survive. Big play from Pingu to save his buddy, and now the cut are looking to group up again. We've got a couple of heroes towards that middle lane, so I don't know if they're going to be able to get all the way down, but they can at least push this one further forward, try and get it back onto the 2-base side. But Tingle King actually wants to go elsewhere. He doesn't have a crazy amount of mana right now, but he's got the clarity going, and he did pop his own Grieve, so he could try and facilitate something here, but at this point, Boris is already backing away. So much like we saw with the Leshrac earlier on, he sort of suspects something is coming his way, and backs off before they can really get too close to him.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you did lose some of your Bloodstone components on the Leshrac, so you're not going to see that be finished up for up until that is finished, even though he definitely will have enough gold coming up. And now you're just going to get this tier 1 tower. You know they have Glyph again. That's something that the cut have done really well, is just pushing the objectives where they're not resetting this Glyph, they aren't playing on the wrong side of the map. And with this Leshrac, that's exactly what you need to do to find those easy punishes. And 2-base not even smoked out. They're just trying to claim this mid tier 1 tower, and the cut should fight them here. They do have Glyph. They have everything that they could possibly want. Yeah, there's no way they give this up.
Tingle and Scourge TP in. Further TPs onto the tier 2 and the tier 1 as Giant is going to look for the hook.
Ooh, he has to guess. Nope, not going to commit it.
Fair enough. They hold the tower. That's going to be the most important thing. And they got the tier 1 down in the bottom lane themselves. So they sort of scatter 2-base to the winds here as they go in their separate directions. And the tower will hold. And now if you're the cut, you're still sort of grouped up in this middle lane. So they could try and move out somewhere, get back onto their opponent's side of the map, and maybe establish some further controls. We see a lot of wards being thrown down in this middle lane. Multiple sentries and the Obs ward thrown in there as well as they now make their way to the north. They're going to try to get vision on Boris, and he is close by, but that flare, it's a little off the mark. So no chance onto Boris. Giant will instead simply take the outpost into his team's hands.
And yeah, they are really just mode split push. And right now, Red 2, even though he does have that Blink Dagger, probably just wants to wait for that next Aegis, doesn't want to do something too risky. Flea, yeah, is just going to TP out in their face. He's going to eat 2 Deso shots. But with the vision that they have on 2-base, there's really been no movement from Pingu to sort of get these D wards out of here. They might ping that ward down there. And actually, whoa.
Giant's
nice
in with the hook into the cog pushback.
Into the vacuum. Nope. Mistimed.
Oh, and
Red
there's going to be the
2,
Dream Coil. Wait, he wasn't hit by it. Yeah, he's going to just push in. That Dream Coil would have been nice had it connected onto the TA, but Red 2 is able to sort of dodge it out, keeps on pushing forward, and they do bring Annihilate down. That's a bit of a costly one for 2-base. Annihilate was just sort of looking for the casual play down in that sort of area, just trying to grab a little bit of farm for himself. Instead, he gets run down as Red 2 finds the kill, and now he is starting to push the middle lane out a little bit. They're sort of casting their gaze top, however. They do see Boris. They would very much like to get this kill onto the Wraith King. The flare is going to come up. It does spot Flea, but there's no hookshot for 15, so they can't actually make that initiation just yet. So I don't know if they realize Boris is still here. They're sort of pinging out the tree line, so I think they at least suspect. Can they actually catch up in time? Boris has turned off the Radiance, and he is just going to hide.
Hook and one?
Hook!
Oh,
Oh, it's
no.
too late.
It was on cooldown. It's honestly really unlucky, but he needed that hook before that did set up the kill on the puck, but still 1 second off. Boris just having that sort of breakneck spidey sense was able to feel the gank coming, and then, yeah, 1 second. If he starts with a TP, just literally a second later, Giant has the flare into the hook. What a close play.
And gotta say, for Giant to this point, I mean, he's been pretty on point so far. 1, 4, and 8 for him. It's really just kind of the almost sacrificial style, although he really hasn't died all that much for these maneuvers. So he really is going to be relied upon to just sort of get them into those fights. He's not the only initiation, obviously, but this is why you pick this Clockwork. He is a hero who can throw himself face first into a fight. If he dies and your team wins, you don't care, right? So they're just going to be able to sort of throw him at the enemy whenever they want as Red 2. TPing himself down bot. Can he actually catch anyone, though? The Centaur's already TPing away, and Flea and Jubei are sort of getting out as well. So less of a TP for kills, more of a TP to, I guess, just push out this lane, as Red 2 is going to be able to just about finish off that BKB in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and they are continuing to get speed up on that West track, almost having that BKB one component away, has an Arcane Rune as well, and they do need to be careful. They're looking to try and burst him here, but I Annihilate.
Snowball's coming in, but he's already activated the Bloodstone there, so he's going to be able to sort of hold his ground, or maybe not. Ice Blast comes through, Scourge will fall, but Giant cogs about 4 people, including himself, so everybody's just sort of stuck in the middle of this one, and this actually is not going well. The Cut are just getting completely annihilated. They lose 4. Boris doesn't even really care about that illusion of himself. He's able to just win up that man fight, and that goes very, very poorly. 4 heroes dead for the Cut, and not a single casualty for TOOBASED. They just completely clean sweep that fight, and it really didn't feel like it was going to go that well based on the sort of initial play. That Dream Coil onto Scourge was not really long enough to get the rest of the lineup in, but they just sort of keep him in place, and I'd say maybe the ineffectiveness of the Dream Coil is maybe what baits Scourge into staying in that fight.
And it really is just the unfortunate circumstance where Scourge needs to be synced up a little bit more with Pingu. Either Scourge needs to be closer to him, or Pingu needs to be right up close and personal, because Pingu pops the ultimate. He should just break the coil, immediately purge it off with the Aphotic Shield, then shield him up. Then Jubei doesn't have enough control to really ever land that Ice Blast unless he is caught by that Hoof Stomp. But even Monkeys Forever was so far away, really he wasn't under any threat up until that coil just about ended and there was the follow-up stun coming in. Once you get BKB on that West track, then you are your own save, but still, you make your 5k gold lead a 1k gold lead, and now mid, Giant is going to go down.
Completely jumped in on there. Good play out from Simply TOOBASED to find those kills, but over on the other side, we do see Red 2 now getting that BKB online, so that is going to make him significantly harder to lock down as Tingle comes in. Nice vac wall, but it comes out really just as the Stampede was used, so the pullback really doesn't last all that long, but Boris is still on the run. He's holding the BKB though, but now Annihilate in with the Dream Coil, Ice Blast, going to follow it up, landing onto quite a few. That pops Pingu's ult, but he's not going to be getting any HP back. But now...
Oh, he healed someone else. He healed Red 2. Okay.
Okay, that's interesting, but... Well, Red 2 wants in. He's pushing forward. Flea is going to get taken down.
Yeah, and now, I mean, they're going to get pestered here, and there's still a BKB and an Aegis on Boris, okay?
Boris just walking his way out of this one. Flea is going to buy back, though. The Reincarnation will be popped, but Annihilate wants into the fight, but he's actually going to get sort of ambushed by the clock, so he's not here to protect this. Boris just gets taken down before he can TP, even with the BKB there. It doesn't actually protect him. Red 2 brings him down, has the damage to get the job done, and that fight felt so strange. The Ice Blast sort of came through from Jubei. It hits onto so many heroes, but TOOBASED try to back themselves off. The Cut, though, don't actually let them leave, and they walk away with a kill onto Boris and a chance to push into the Roche Pit as Roshan is respawned.
And now, while Jubei, gonna hit on 4 people here, Tingle King needs to get to go. Yeah. Oh, they killed him.
Flea. All right, Walrus Punch gets it done. It is going to cost him his own life. That's a decent trade for him, though, but now this is a problem. Jubei gets caught out. I Annihilate. You don't want to be here either. He needs to try and get away with this orb as he is going to jump to the middle lane, but he's slowed up by the trap. Screwed. Oh, God. Scourge, comes in for the stun. And I Annihilate just not quite showing that respect. Thought he was just going to be able to bail out with the orb and the blink, but I mean, they were ready. They just push forward on the cut. They find those kills. That's what, 3 kills in total going to them as they got both the supports and the puck, and now they're back into the pit anyway.
Yeah, and we are going to see Jubei hitting it up again. Let's see Monkeys Forever. Ooh, they flared him. Do they have an urn? They need to disable this blink somehow. Okay, let's see it, Monkeys.
Okay, there he is. He's into it.
They're gonna kill him instead.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
he is spilling onto it.
Okay. Good play from Giant getting in there for the cog trap. Just gonna make sure he physically blocks Monkeys from picking that up. So they take Roshan, they get the Aegis, they got the cheese over to the TA, and it looks like the shard is picked up by her as well. Yeah, shard into the TA's hand. So you've got that upgrade on the traps. They've already been incredibly difficult for TOOBASED to deal with, and now they're going to silence up as well. So not entirely sure how they fully deal with that short of just buying some BKBs for themselves. But while they try to figure that out, Red 2, he wants to try and get onto the high ground. His teammates are now going to sort of come in to back him up, and they should be able to get some damage here. I don't know if it's going to be enough. There is a glyph. Yeah, there's a glyph available. They will pop it. But without the Centaur, this fight's going to be iffy. And at this point, Boris actually isn't even in the base. He's in the east side jungle right now. So the cut should be able to get this if they realize that they don't have the Wraith King. But they haven't quite come to that realization just yet. Scourge, though, continues to push forward, but he's still not getting it. Making another attempt. There we go. That should be enough.
Oh, okay.
Good play from Monkeys, but faster reaction times from Pingu, hitting his teammate up with a Aphotic Shield to remove that stun, and the cut will simply back away, but they do so now with a 7k net worth lead.
Yeah, and really, Monkeys Forever, his inventory feels so strange. He has Pipe of Insight, Shiva's Guard, Blink Dagger, no Wand, but that's an all-hero challenge right there if I've ever seen one. But immediate smoke up from the cut. They're going to try and punish TOOBASED, maybe thinking that they're going to respond to that bottom tower. There are the skeletons there, even though the tier 2 isn't really under too much threat. But now you have that Aegis on the Leshrac. You don't want to give too much space up to the side of TOOBASED. And now Annihilate, he got punished before that by the trap. Now he needs to be incredibly careful because you do have that Shard Silence. If he ever does get caught, he hasn't itemized for it. You wouldn't itemize for it in a normal game, but here it actually is going to come into effect. Ooh.
Pushing their way forward. There's going to be the Dream Coil, though, into the Ice Blast. Is that enough, though? The Cuts still want to keep pushing in, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it. But they do find Flea, sort of hanging out outside of the base. Giant traps him up inside of the cogs, and Red 2 will find the kill. But Tusk, maybe not the most important pick-off for them, but it is a hero that's dead with no buyback. So that is going to sort of reduce the overall amount of bodies that that TOOBASED can sort of throw into this one. But the Cut have to heal up, and they need to wait for another creep wave for that matter as well. It is coming in just a few moments. And they do still have the Aegis for another 2 minutes, so really they can afford to make an attempt at this.
Yeah, and they have Ice Blast in 3 seconds. Oh, they're smoking up, but they missed the Centaurs, so this is a little bit awkward, even though Scourge is underneath a ward. Red 2 has no BKB, but he still has that cheese, so... Ooh, what a blink out.
Blinking himself out in time. The Ice Blast, I believe, still hit Pingu, but Boris, oh god, Boris in trouble. Gonna lose that ult. Meanwhile, Monkey's dropping a little bit low as well. Can they finish any of these heroes off? The Meld comes in. Monkey's trying to get away, and it looks like he will live. And Giant, though, is taken down. Scourge was dropping low as well, but he is going to be able to pop the active on that Bloodstone. Gonna give him enough HP to survive, but Annihilate back in. Taking down Pingu. Looking for Scourge now as well, as the Lesh is going to be forced to fall back. And TOOBASED, no, they've held the high ground, but now they sort of want more kills. I don't think they're really going to be able to get any, though, as the Cut should be falling back.
No blink on Flea, so doesn't exactly matter that he does get a glimpse of the Leshrac. But yeah, it really feels like that doesn't matter all too much. You didn't lose the Aegis, you didn't use too much, you did use the BKB on Red 2, but now he's making very fast progress towards that Daedalus. Once he has that, you are going to see him being able to take down this... am I seeing a graphical glitch here? Monkeys Forever has 5+5 armor. Shouldn't he have 5+15 armor?
It
or am
is
I,
5+20 on my screen, so you might have yourself a bit of a glitch on that.
Okay, because yeah, once he has the Daedalus, then he can maybe kill this Shiva's Guard Center. I was like, there's no way he has 10 armor right now. It's like only showing the town armor for me. It's a beta game, you know. Gotta understand those indie devs don't have the time. They've got normal jobs, but Aegis is going to expire in 25 seconds here, so once that's out of their hands, we'll probably see the cut. Uh, Maybe fold back a little bit, try and finish off some of those better items. We don't have a pipe yet built on Tingle King. He went for that Blink Dagger, and okay, they want to smoke up. They're going to make a little bit of a crazy play here, it looks like, with that Daedalus on red too. But I don't think two-based are really going to bite. They're going to be careful in these side lanes, but there's no real reason for them to let themselves get caught here. And really, it is just Giant. Giant's the only hero that has that instant disable from the hook shot, so no one needs to be too scared.
That is a bottled DD rune on red too, though. So if they do find someone, they are going to be deleted from this game.
Ooh.
But Boris?
Yeah, he was watching that bottom wave, so he saw the skeletons. Scourge TP down here.
Ooh.
Yeah, the jig is up. There's not much that they can do now. Whereas two-based, now they are going to be able to put a lot of pressure onto this Leshrac if he stands in front. They've been pressuring and really just keeping this Abaddon down. Pingu keeps on deciding to save his teammates instead of himself, so he has been falling. And really, the holds have been pretty convincing coming in from two-based ever since they lost that mid-rax. And I Annihilate, he's working towards that Dagon. He has an Blade, so really does a lot of damage. He can save whoever Red 2 initially goes on. But here we go. Cogs pushback. Ooh.
I Annihilate, still in some trouble. He's going to get pulled back in the vacuum. The wall will be dropped as well, but there's going to be your Stampede. So, should be able to get everybody out of trouble. Or maybe not. Actually, the Tusk is kind of still hanging out in no man's land here.
He has a blink.
Pingu didn't spot him, though. Yeah, he blinks away. He'll TP out, and everyone gets away from two-base. It does cost him the Stampede, but that's exactly what you wanted the Stampede for, to be able to sort of back away from that sort of play without any major consequences. So they get Annihilate out of there, and while they don't find any kills themselves on the two-base side, they've bought a pretty substantial amount of time with that maneuver. But now Centaur's in some trouble. He's going to get hit up by the trap. He's trying to use the spider legs to get himself away. Well, I don't know. Giant probably could have tried for the hook shot, but he's not going to go in for it. So Monkeys Forever falls back, and two-based, I mean, if they keep getting away from these fights, they're perfectly okay with this.
Yeah, and really, they might just wait for that next Roshan. It sounds a little bit boring, but they really do need that Aegis to push into the AA Blast. Otherwise, they do a little bit too much damage. And even though this bot wave is here and they know that the Stampede is gone, it is really more or less just the AA being this obnoxious. Jubei has had a really impactful game. He's 7-3-11. They haven't been able to find this AA. He's been standing so far back. And Giant has really been forced to use a lot of his initiations to try and keep the Puck and the Centaur disabled up as long as he can. Even though if he is stuck in there, he does sort of just die. That's why the Force Staff he was able to complete a few minutes ago does feel pretty nice, because now he's no longer stuck in there with them. But at the same time, the cut, they are stuck sort of waiting yet again, even though they do have some of these pretty big item timings. Shiva's completed on Scourge.
Yeah,
Ooh, bottom. Heard of, yeah, it missed. He has to save the vacuum.
Ooh.
Normal punch.
Okay. Punch comes in. Vacuum will be used. Monkeys, though, still pretty tanky and going to try to get away, but he's actually hit by the Splitter stun. That's going to eat a lot of that Stampede duration, and he's just not getting out. He is going to get slowly but surely sort of chunked down. His Scourge will pick him off. That is a big kill for the side of the cut. There is a buyback, though, available for Monkeys at the moment. So if it really does come down to another fight, he's going to be back in it, but his Stampede won't be for at least a little while longer.
And we get max Roche timers, so we'll have to see if that is going to be the make or break moment for the cut. I would really love to see Pingu pick up a gem, sort of take away this two-based vision that they have been able to accrue. And Red 2, yeah, they can't really do much about him at this point, and they are just sort of running out these side lanes. But at the same time, we're getting another game where nobody's really making these plays, so it is sort of slowing down as the split push game really just starts. And it really is just because this puck is uncontested. There's no one that can really pressure him at all. I would have loved to see a Hex being built by Red 2. That's something we see Parker rely on a lot of times. And actually, they're going to kill Tingle.
Ooh. Straight up blowing him up there.
Nothing they can do. Ooh, Flea. They didn't see him either.
So,
quick
two-base.
Cut the waves. More space for Boris. Has an AC now.
They just continue to sort of chip away at this one, and with that sort of just straight up nuke damage out from my Annihilate, it's going to be easier and easier for him. And we do actually see him, though, shifting away from that Dagon. He was sort of queuing those up earlier on. Instead, he is going to sort of bail out, looking for the Aether Lens first into... I guess that's the Bloodstone build for him, or... Excuse me, not Bloodstone. Wow.
No, I think that is a
Oh, wait, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Aether Lens. No, it's an Aether Lens into the Octarine core.
And there we go. Yes, it is right. Wow. Sorry, folks. Long day. Brain's not working. Octarine, I was wondering, like, why would he go for a Bloodstone? But he's not. I'm just stupid. So Octarine instead going to make a little bit more sense for that puck. But the fact that he has so much time now, that he's sort of built himself up to this degree, it's a little bit frustrating for the
Red
cut.
2.
As okay.
Yeah, they got him. Really long silence. He doesn't have any way to purge it off. That was like a max silence coming in from the Psionic Trap. So easy. Easy as that.
But now, oh, what can they get out of it? The answer is Roshan. Rosh respawns, so Aegis Cheese and an Agnes Blessing all available, and
who gets the eggs? Giant? Okay. We've got overclocking. Very cool Aghanim Scepter. Should allow them to maybe chain up the puck, even though the Octarine core is finished. That does mean that Ionite does not have buyback, so we'll have to see if that secondary clock hook... I would really love to see Giant do it perfectly. Just see that combo come out. Just the hook into the power cogs, into the overclock, into the hook, into the power cogs. That's going to be the tip-worthy moment coming in from the cut side.
We'll see if he can pull it off. Giant has been on point so far in the match with a lot of these sort of hookshot initiations, so it really isn't going to be a matter of sort of questioning his aim. He has been there when his team has needed him, but it's a matter of, do they find the opportunities? As TOOBASED have been sort of playing for a much later timing window right now, though. Annihilate, oh. Spotted in the top lane. Okay, blinks himself away. He's got a TP, so he could just bail out now, and that's exactly what he'll do. So, not going to get himself caught, but again, this is the way that TOOBASED have been playing. It's all about stalling for time. It's all about trying to get Boris more and more.
Yeah, and let's see. Does he have anything queued up? Yeah, he's got the Basher. Probably going to slot it in over his one in just a moment here. But I would really, really love to see Red 2 going for that Hex. That would just feel like the cherry on top. Be the answer to these lockdown issues they've sort of had from the offset of this game. But instead, going for that Ag Synth, then he's going to be able to be everywhere. He already is sort of everywhere. That's the big benefit here. And we are just going to see the entire map farmed up. This DD rune isn't even going to get scouted in the river because it doesn't matter. Everybody just wants to get as much farm as they can. The cut going to ease into quite the hefty gold lead here. But Ionite's looking for something.
And Pingu popped to the ult, yeah. But he's still in some trouble. Stunned up by the Wraithfire Blast, and they do manage to pick him off. So, well, Pingu getting picked there, he's not really worth a crazy amount, and he does have his buyback, but again, another play for TOOBASED that just keeps on making space for them. So they're... Oh, hold on. I was going to say they're not really in any hurry to force anything, but we do now see the smoke play, so we could see them press forward, try to find a fight here.
Yeah, and it would be fantastic to find Tingle King at the beginning. Really, he's the one that has not been farming on his team, even though that Clockwork's net worth is slightly inflated. But yeah, Red 2 doesn't have the Aegis.
Walrus Punch locking him down. There's going to be the wall, though.
Projection. He's out.
Okay, he's gone. His teammates, though, still stuck in the fight. Scourge, though, pops the BKB. He's going to try and turn around and fight. Ice Blast will fly through, but it's not going to be overly effective. They take down Giant. And I think they can get Tingle King here further to the north. No, not able to lock him down just yet, as Annihilate is going to continue to chase, and Tingle is eventually going to be run down, but Red 2 rejoins the fight. He went back in with that projection. He's going to be able to find a couple, and now this one's falling apart for Simply TOOBASED, as Boris is going to have that ult pop, but he is going to be able to activate the BKB, but the physical damage might still give him some issues. Now, oh, there's going to be the Hex. Scourge hits him up, goes in for the Splitter Stone to follow it up. Boris is in some trouble. They need to be able to help him out here, but yeah, the Cog Trap absolutely big. Annihilate is going to be able to get himself out of the Cogs. The problem is that leaves Boris stuck in the middle of it, but Dream Coil thrown down. It's a little bit too late. Annihilate finds the pick off there onto Pingu, but Boris has fallen, and the puck just needs to run as he is going to try to get himself away, blinking back into the base, but it is going to be a win for the side of the cut at the end of it, as Monkey should be able to blink himself back as well. Maybe not. Hex comes in. Scourge wants it. He's going forward. They do land with the Splitter into the Meld Strike, and This is a problem for Monkeys. He is going to be able to fall back, though, as he does activate that Shiva's, but now Skirt. Okay, Scourge, too far forward. Hit up by the E-Blade. That is going to burn the Aegis away from him. The cheese is being swapped into his inventory. And now Giant hooking in. They've got the puck. Can they lock him down? They get in. They've got it. Annihilate dead. Flea dead as well. Annihilate, though, immediately buying back. Looking to rejoin the fight. They're going to get in onto Giant, so they do kill off that Clockwork. The problem is, they're not really dealing with the cores. Stream Coil, though, does get deployed. Monkeys forever. Pushing forward. Leshrac in trouble. He is going to eat the cheese, though. That's going to heal him up as this fight continues. Monkeys now in some trouble. Silenced up. Able to pop that Ghost Scepter. That will keep him alive for now, but it doesn't do him much good against the magic damage out from Scourge, as they will be able to take Monkeys away. Dead for 100 seconds, and I think this fight may finally be coming to an end, and the Cut sort of stand as the better squad at the end of it.
Yeah, had to use nothing. I don't even think Pingu bought back. There wasn't any supports getting back into that game. Meanwhile, you have absolutely nothing now on the 2-base side. Monkeys, Annihilate, Boris, all forced to use their buybacks. The Boris one felt really just the worst because you weren't able to get back into that fight. We don't see the very characteristic Blink Dagger pushed up on him this time around. And Giant, nah, not now, not now. Finish the game, then have internet issues, but really just perfect cover. They were covering their teammates incredibly well there. The TA, while really the Psionic traps with the silence haven't felt too impactful. He hasn't been able to get Annihilate caught off guard just yet, even though he really doesn't have a solution to it. They just go out a little bit too far. Pingu's able to very simply TP in over to the shrine, heals up his teammates. They use the Aegis, they use the cheese, and really the Cut are in a really dominant position now.
Yeah, they are very much the team in control of this game, and if you're two-based, well, based on the situation, the scenario that we see sort of in front of us, they're going to have maybe one more shot at this. If they don't win the next fight or at least draw even on it, I mean, there's going to be no one left. They won't have any defenders, so this is maybe the Cut's moment, although sort of hate to have to bring back those bad memories, but we saw a similar scenario out from the Cut in the second match of their previous series. They looked like they had the advantage. They weren't really willing to take the risk and go all in for it, and that match ended up stalling out for quite some time, and D2 Hustlers sort of took it away from them. So you would assume, or hope maybe, that they sort of learn their lesson this time and that they'll try to press this advantage, but I'm sort of scared that they're just going to wait for the next Roche.
Yeah, and fortunately, the difference maker being that they really feel like the D2 Hustlers in this situation where, unfortunately, 2-base never really were ahead. They did have that one very good fight top where they were able to sort of bring back that net worth deficit, but now it feels like the Cut are just going to bide their time. Finally, someone had a Hex. If the TA wasn't going to buy it, I'm very glad that Scourge ended up getting one because it's exactly what they needed. It's the only reason the puck has really any risk of dying. And with the way that Annihilate has itemized, it really is all or nothing. He's either going to survive and be that elusive puck that we know and love, or he's going to get stunned up, Clockwork hooked, and really just Giant. Perfect hookshot coming in. Don't even know if he had the overclock. I'm guessing he had to use it because it does cost quite a lot of mana. But here we go. They're looking, if they get puck, it's GG. If they don't get puck, then this fight could get kited out pretty long here. As Scourge is going to give them a little bit of an idea where they are just because that creep wave just disappears off the map without any heroes showing.
Uh-oh.
Ooh,
that's too far, Flea. Oh, that just feels like such a mistake. He's caught out. I mean,
does have buy, but yeah, he wanted to just blink out immediately, but a little bit faster hands on Scourge.
It's kind of weird. You were just pointing out, I mean, they saw that creep wave just disappear, so they had to know Scourge was sort of in the area, and it's just a quick little sort of jaunt down to that middle lane from where they had seen him. So the Tusk getting caught out's a little bit strange, but as you said, he has a buyback. He could get himself back in as Boris. Gonna get hit up by the wall. That's...
In the splitter, they're on the ground, and every single time he uses that Swift blink, he has the Swift aura, he's just going to be able to push even harder. But yeah, these splitters are going to be a real problem if they ever want to try and defend their racks.
Look at that. Scourge is just going to keep on spamming him out there. Why not? If it keeps 2-base sort of at arm's length so they can push in, as Boris got vacuumed over the wall of his own base. That could have been a little bit rough for him, but he's able to fall back in time. No one's able to sort of get up onto him, but all the while, this tier 3 tower continues to drop low. Scourge is going to be able to bring it down, and the 2-base aren't really any closer to that moment where they feel like they can push in as the splitter is just going constantly. It just never ends. He's just able to spam it out over and over and over again, and oh, That one will hit too, but at this point the cut are too far back to really follow it up. But they're just sort of slowly sieging this down.
And they don't know that Red 2 used the psionic projection. It does have a 10-second cooldown, so they could look for that initial jump, but level 29 on Red 2, man, he is just so high. He's been farming so much, but now they can do this two-wave strategy. If they really want, they could have the psionic projection up. They are just going to wait for the Rosh. It is going to respawn in another minute here. Probably give that Ags. Could be seeing it over on the Abaddon. Could be seeing it over on maybe Scourge. The Nihilism is pretty devastating, but really TOOBASED don't do that much physical damage. They're mostly magic, even though you do have a Wraith King. So I'm guessing we're going to see it on the Darks here, but we'll have to see. And here we go. More Split Earths, except this time with Split Push action. It's...
Yes. Oh, Scourge goes in for the Hex. They've locked down Boris. They'll hit him up. They drop down the wall as well. Boris is in some trouble here. He's going to get vacuumed back in, and that's going to be his first life taken away. But Monkeys jumping in. They've got the Ice Blast. Pingu is going to get hit up by it. But now Scourge is just going to push forward. BKB active. He's looking to sort of lead the charge on this one, but not actually going to be able to make that one happen. In fact, it's Annihilate getting a kill onto Pingu there with that last little bit of damage. They are able to recover the gem, though, so they won't hand that over, but that wasn't quite the push-in that they wanted. They've taken the tier 3, but the bottom lane of Rax is still standing, and TOOBASED, I mean, they just refuse to go down without a fight, and the cut aren't really willing to just sort of dive all in at this point. They're trying to really be, to a certain extent, I guess, kind of patient and methodical about this, but I don't know. It's buying some extra time for TOOBASED, and they're going to try and make the most of it as we see them now pushing into the east side jungle.
Now, I don't think... Yeah, buybacks are still gone for another 2 minutes, 30 seconds on the cores. They know what the cut are doing. They're backing up, maybe going towards that Roshan. Red 2 needs to be a little bit careful here, but at the end of the day, does have that psionic projection in 2 seconds here. If they do stick their necks out, they do need to be careful. Ooh, flee.
That might have been a bit too far forward. Wow. Boris, what are you doing here?
You are in no man's land.
There's no one to help him. He's just going to get taken down. That's going to be the reincarnation, though, so he is back in. Now Annihilate, pushing forward, getting the silence down on multiple heroes. Ice Blast flying through as well, but Boris gets hit up by that hookshot. Giant locks him down. Jubei falls as well, and this is not good. There were still pretty much no buybacks left. I mean, Flea just used his, and I think that's the last one that they actually had available, so it's down to really just the 3 heroes remaining to hold, but Monkeys, he's not having a good time. Hexed up. Going to be taking way too much damage from Red 2, and that's it.
That's
GG.
Yeah. They don't buybacks on those heroes. Yeah, Boris is just out. Immediately disconnect. Well, the cut have proven they can win in a 48-minute long game where they were always ahead. So, the cut take this one. And really, I mean, fantastic itemization coming in from Scourge. He was really able to end up punishing the real greediness coming in from TOOBASED, where they didn't have those save items. We didn't see a Lotus Sword. We didn't see Force Staffs really picked up on anyone. They tried to get a little bit aggressive here and there, but again, sort of the third weird game in a row where we just go to this 48-minute timer where both teams aren't really successful in many of their endeavors up until the point where somebody dies without buyback. And you look at the win probability, and it really felt like they had that one throw maybe at the 30-minute mark where they were able to get that gold lead, sort of 50-50 split, and they were still finding kills with that Ice Blast into the coil, but then they farmed a little bit too much on the cut side and you just weren't able to keep pace with them. So pretty easy win for the cut.
Yeah, easy, I guess, yeah, would be the way to do it. They do have to put a little bit of extra effort in there on the back end, but as you said, they were leading the whole way through. So really it was just, to a certain extent, a matter of time as the cut were able to secure that one, getting themselves a win in a series that, as we said before, doesn't quite have too much of an impact on the overall standings, but the cut are at least able to increase that win count. They get a little bit of momentum for themselves, and now they've got a shot at getting themselves what I believe would be their first and only 2-0 sweep of this event. So we'll see if that maybe acts as a little bit of extra motivation for them. One final match between the cut and TOOBASED should be coming up in just a little bit. So we are going to be hopping into that break, but when we come back, it'll be the start of the Game 2 draft as we cap off the final game of the group stage.